Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to your reading. Let me just triple check the audio. Okay, turn the mic down a little bit, I think. Okay, it's not an option. Anyways, let's pull this up. Just a moment here, if you would, or if you may, whatever the correct English wording is. I just need to make one alteration. Where is it? Okay, second. Okay, so we hide this. Oh shit, okay. I actually have to make a different alteration. Now this is for the betterment of the reading. What I'm doing. And that is the process of triple checking. Yes, you heard it right. Triple checking the birth time. Okay. All right, perfect. So, mhm. Okay. Mhm. Okay, so Karin. All right, let's share screen. Um, so here we are. Actually, I did not turn the timer on. Where is it? Okay, we're good. So, I've kind of been on fire tonight. It's very late or early, but it's the World Cup right now, and the game, like, it's like, what am I gonna do? I can only work at night. A little monologue. Um, so yeah, I'm only working at night. Um, and actually, you know what? Eli, hold on. Okay, that's what I thought. I was just like, I have like two clients back to back who, like you and someone else whose like charts are just like so similar. And I was like, wait, hold up. that's I don't know. I was just making sure there wasn't like some like I'm paranoid ever since I had that I mean it's happened multiple times, but I'm super careful and I just did like an amazing reading once and it was 11:18 a.m. Double checked it and ended up being 11:18 p.m. So dude, I didn't have to, but being a man of honor, I redid it. So um yeah, all looks good. So yeah, with your chart, it's interesting. And what I was telling you before was it's very late. Um, my girlfriend's getting up to go to school probably very soon. Um, however, it's the World Cup and the games. The first game starts at 5 p.m., which sounds ridiculous, but it's like imagine that you can only work at night and you can't choose when you have your intuitive night. You know, and people have been waiting for a long time, like yourself, which I appreciate the patience. So when I'm, in one of those zones, I don't. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stay up until I as long as I want. I run my life, and yeah. Like, what's the point? Like, if I'm waking up at 5. Um, if I'm on a roll, get as many done as I can in a night. That's kind of the World Cup's only for like what, like 2 more weeks. And I mean, it's like less and less games. We're near like the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, there's actually only, and this is so unrelated to the reading. I'm so sorry, but Pisces, Mercury. Um, sometimes I just like to just talk and just move into the reading. But there's only 8 games left of the World Cup, right? Because there's the 4 quarterfinals games, 4. There's the semi, 6, the final 7, and then 2 tomorrow. So there's 9 football matches left for the World Cup. So it's wrapping up, you know. So while that's kind of happening, um, like what is the point of me who already wakes up late, right? What's the point of me waking up at 2, at 3? What am I gonna? I mean, yeah, I can accomplish something, but I can still accomplish that same thing, after the first match. My match is at 5, one's at 9. So, you know, that's my spiel. Anyways, let's get let's talk about what we're here to talk about. So lots of Libra in the first. Um, you have Saturn rising, with Mars rising. This is a very, very rare combination, as you can see over here, to have these two on the ascendant. And I need to check one thing, really quickly. I just need to make sure that there weren't any special. Yeah, I thought like special requests, and people have like special requests, talk about this, or you know, I had already basically checked them before, but yeah, okay. So where did the thing go? But yeah, anyways, like so all that Libra in the first, I always have this thing, eh, so it never surprises me. And I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just like, if it is, then you have heard it first, or you would have heard it here first before I actually like dug into your chart. And that is readings that tend to have like the same energetic backfittings, but are completely different. Or what am I saying? Are completely different. I mean to say that like readings that are like very similar, like not in terms of like the big three or like the signs, like the overall karmic like point of the chart. But and oh no, and I have them like back to back. It's crazy. So I just had a really, really big Libra one. So let's see about this one. I like to go back and forth between my face and no face, just by the way. Um, and I know I look a little bit tired. My eyes have been a little bit red lately. I did sleep like 9 hours last night. Um, but do not worry. I am in prime form. My hands are dry. I do this weird thing where I lick them. But yeah. So right off the bat, yeah, Pisces moon. Boundaries is the first word that comes up when you see a Libra chart that's also has Pisces. That Pisces heavy chart or Libra heavy chart or both. So then you throw in Cancer, which is such a beautiful aspect. Wow, and your North Node's there, in your midheaven, and your Sun, which is a wonderful collaboration. Which once again, like I told you, it's a similar chart, except for the last person's was first house Libra. Um, yours is more about the Dharma and the career and yeah. So in essence, the first question is, what is the relationship and how does a Pisces moon work with a Cancer sun? Well, the answer is outstanding, especially since it is a trine, a very, very potent angle. A trine is 120 degrees, same elements, meaning that the signs of the planets have a resemblance. They kind of just get each other, if you will. So, the thing about Pisces moon though, is that it is, and combined, like you're extremely, extremely sensitive, right? 10 out of 10 on the sensitivity skill. Um, Cancer and Pisces are probably with Scorpio, the most sensitive signs. And especially with the Pisces moon, because the moon represents like our instinct, like our emotional attunement, our emotional environment, right? Like how we live within ourselves. Um, so to have it in that position, it indicates someone who is a old soul, someone who's here to help humanity, um, and someone who's also here to work on, you know, and we'll see what's supported by this, but emotional vulnerability. Someone who's here to work on being able to express emotions and things of that nature, right? But we'll see what the rest of the chart says, because usually when I see water heavy charts, I mean the south node is once again, wow, I just had to like a oh wait, no, that was the wrong chart. Not what I've been talking about. I just pulled up the wrong one. The south node is in Libra, or not Libra, Virgo on the IC. Yeah, so it was like literally the last chart I had was Libra heavy like yours. It had wasn't it Cancer Sun? Yeah, Cancer Sun. And then it had its south node on the IC and its north node on the midheaven, just like yours. So a little strange. This is if someone were to watch all of my readings in all history, they would see this tendency. They'd be like it's like insane. It's magic. It's like how can you have so many um readings that are so similar, you know, back to back to back sometimes. So yeah. As I was saying though, but with the Pisces moon, time alone is very, very important. Um, you what can happen, with the one second, with the moon in that sign is that there can be it can be very overwhelming, especially when young. It can be very overwhelming to be around other people, especially people that have kind of like a low energy to them. Um, so it's extremely important to kind of pick who you are around. And one trick I always tell my Pisces moons, which I get a lot of, by the way, there's no mistake. It's an extremely spiritual placement, and yeah. Um, but anyways, what I was gonna say is one thing I always tell them is that interruption. One thing I always tell them is that in order for you, well, first of all, boundaries is like this massive issue, right? It's a massive. You're born in '82, so yeah, and the moon isn't interfered with by any outer sun, has square Pluto, Venus opposite Neptune, just like my last client. Um, and the nodes. Please don't tell me it's the same nodes. Square with Saturn, square Mars, and then of course you have the Sun on the North Node, which is and the midheaven, which is very, very, very significant for my brand of astrology. And just in general, like anyone who says that isn't significant is in the wrong job. But basically, one second, just hold on. Okay. I like to have a basketball game on, not all the time, just like on in the background. I don't like really look at it or anything. I just like to have it on, check the score. Um, so yeah, like basically, um, boundary is very important, but also very difficult. There's this proneness to give in to stronger energies, especially when young. And when I mean by stronger energies is, let me show the chart again. Um, like not stronger in the sense of like better and more valiant, but stronger in the sense of even like a bully energy, right? Energy vampire types are it's very, very common for, especially with Venus opposite Neptune, which is a huge aspect for this type of activity. Um, People, narcissists, the toxic types of human feast upon the kind-hearted. And when you are a Pisces sun, a Pisces moon, Cancer sun, I don't even have to meet you with a Libra rising to know how good of a person you are. Now, when I see that you're, yeah, when I just see the totality of everything that is your chart, um, it's obvious to me that in past lives you were too close to home, metaphorically and physically. Um, there weren't enough risks taken, and I mean that spiritual risks. I mean that risks, but I'm really what I'm really getting is risks with your spirituality and creativity. Those are the two main ones that are coming for me. Um, so in this life, it's like really, really important. I mean, if you want to have a live to your highest potential, highest karma, whatever you want to call it, it's very important to understand the difference between a high and low Pisces energy, and that can be done via your own research, I like to give clients homework because, I can tell you a million things, but and I will talk about it, but if you really want to get the most benefit out of astrology, you got to look into some things yourself. Read articles about it on Google. But basically, the low Pisces energy, because everything in the chart is like a potential manifestation. There's nothing that's like set in stone. It's all the chart meets free will. So you ultimately are the one who decides like what you want to do with the energy. And with this placement, it's very much about one, how it's about escapism. Now we all escape as humans, right? We all have our escapes. We all are in this reality, right? It's ugly. There's lots that's ugly. Of course, there's lots that's not ugly. There's lots that's beautiful about the world and life. But the Pisces, more than any other sign, is the sign that's used to heaven. I'm not going to get into the Edgar Casey Sojourns, but he was a prominent. I always say I'm not going to get into it, and then I just will give like a mini preview. Basically, he was a psychic, really, really famous psychic, and he talked about, he had a little part where he talked about astrology and how different people have different sojourns around different planets between lifetimes, something like that. Basically, I don't, I grasp, I grasp the ideas. I don't grasp the details. That's my thing. I don't really give a shit about the details. For me, it's like as long as I grasp the big picture, because I know so many things that it's just ridiculous to try to remember dates and exact quotes and stuff like that. I just want the essence, and that's good. It's a Mercury and Pisces thing, just FYI, in case you're ever wondering. But yeah. So basically, like the Piscean empath is used to being a helper, is used to being in this reality that is so everything's all good, everything is like there's no need, there's no fighting, there's no war, there's none of this like emotional blackmail that people do. It doesn't exist, it's not a thing. And they come on Earth and they're just like dumbfounded by how evil people are. It's not just Pisces, but Pisces is Neptune, the grand reality, right? So yeah, it can be really difficult for a lot of Pisces to kind of exist. And some of them turn to drugs, some of them turn to I'm Pisces, by the way, just in case you didn't know. Pisces Sun, Sag Moon, Leo rising. But some different Pisces turn to different things, but the best is a healthy escape. Something through the arts or spirituality, the very spiritual energy. So for you sidelined your spiritual development because of self-criticism, right? I just got a cola out. That's Uranus in the sixth house. You don't have it there. A lot of my clients have Uranus in the sixth house, but not you. Um, so I kind of really want to talk about the karma. That's what excites me the most. Um, so your South Node, which rules like past lives on the IC, so it's a very karmic lifetime for you. You're really dealing with lots of past life karma in this life. Um, the fact that, and then when we look at the squares, the nodes, those are skip steps. So Saturn and Mars. Let me just double check with my eyes. And the sextile, why does it not show that? It's so annoying and weird. a sextile between Moon and the node. So the node is ruled by Saturn, which is rising. Interesting. So if the south node ruler is conjunctly ascendant, then a lot of the more like you might like look the same as you did in the lifetime of the karma that you're dealing with. And there might be a lot of repeated themes around the action, which gets me into my next point, was the fact that Mars, the planet of action, is square your south node in Virgo. But before I get into that, let me explain a little bit more about south node in Virgo. So Virgo and Pisces is an axis. There's 6 axes in astrology. You see, it's exactly opposite. 13.02, North Node 13.02. So the South Node being on the IC with Capricorn is indicative of lots of karma. Bringing in a lot of past life karma in this lifetime because Saturn's the planet of karma. So automatically, especially Saturn being on an angle on the ascendant over here, which makes it a very strong Saturn, makes you a Saturnian type, even though there's a Libra. That and I think I think you got a follow up, didn't you? If you did, definitely. I'll talk about it later. But anyways, it's interesting because I've talked about boundaries, but having Saturn rising is actually like one of the best things for keeping firm boundaries. Um, so I'm curious to hear how you'll have to remind me of all this stuff, but I'm curious to know about how that all adds up. Anyway, but wait, doesn't that mean and that also means that Saturn. You see, it's not, it does it's okay. I just said that, never mind. So Saturn, not Pluto, thank God. That's what I have. It sucks. But ascendant, all these are square the nodes, the south node. On this side, nothing. And then of course it's opposite the sun in midheaven. So and then it has a nice trine with the moon. So let's see, any other Earth? No, no other Earth. So the path life story that I gather is a very multifaceted one. Now, first, I see this trend of I I would wager that you were either a different gender in your last lifetime, or that's been something, some type of there's some imbalance there between the feminine and the masculine. Um, when I see people with Cancer North nodes, I think that they're meant to, well, it can be lots of different things. Either meant to be more feminine, meant to dive into their divine feminine energy, or they are meant to, be more nurturing, learn to be more nurturing. The stupid kind of obvious, like, oh, it's like for sure this is like there's meant to like be a mother. When I think of it, I think of it more metaphorically. I think of it as like like they're meant to be a mother to themselves. Like my girlfriend has North Node in Cancer, and I think that that's kind of what it is for her, is that she's meant to, like, when you have like a Capricorn North Node, it's like you're meant to be your own metaphoric father, right? Push yourself. Uh, with the moon, it's like you're meant to be your own mother in the sense of, you might have a mom that's not which you have good karma with your mom. Your moon is a sextile your south node. But perhaps you don't have a mom who is what's the word? Lost my train of thought. I'll come back in 2 seconds. I just like heard a cat making noise. Um, you don't have a mom who's necessarily like more mature than you spiritually or emotionally, despite so you might have like really good karma with her and you might really get along and love her, but might be like more like a sisterhood type thing, like where like she teaches you things, but I don't know, maybe you're like close in age to her, who knows? I've seen that several times. Um, yeah. So you're trying to become more lunar, um, which is obvious. The fact that it's in Pisces is gonna open you up to the spectrum of all emotions, which can be overwhelming. But yeah, the path has been more masculine. You've been more masculine, um, more about the career. But the thing is that, and by the way, I'm talking about like this Virgo, Pisces, axis, and also like I also have to say that I read it incorrectly. However, it's still very, very important to my reading because I always talk about the opposite signs. But the axis for the nodes are, yeah, it's Cancer. I have a setting that's, I don't know, if like for whatever reason it's I've done this I think twice in a row where like a lot like I saw Gemini as Aquarius and I saw Pisces as Cancer. So that's bizarre, but whatever. Either way, you the the north the south node ruled by Saturn, the north node ruled by the moon means you're trying to liquefy stuck emotional patterns from past life. It's kind of like having a Capricorn moon in a way. Not really. You're far from a Capricorn moon. You're a Pisces moon. One is very kind of stuck a lot of times. The other one is just very emotional. But yeah. So let's talk about some of the energy, right? Because that could be stuck. Um, so with the ascendant square, I always take that as like just your it'll go hand in hand with the Mars one, right? I kind of like to say the same one last. But okay, so Mars, there's with Mars squaring it, there's unresolved um material around the kind of assertiveness function, the instinctual will, and there can be lots of unresolved past life anger, unresolved sexual feelings, or some sexual violence, um, like trauma, and there can be this like hidden anger that you came in this life with, right? And it's really important to have like an outlet to get that out through. Let me see. And you have Mars conjunct Pluto, so that's a really good aspect for it's a really good aspect that you can lean on for just like superpower, super reserve of strength. Um, anyways, so yeah, it can really threaten your stability. This like anger, right? Because like, where the fuck did it come from? Why am I angry? Like it might not match up with anything from your current life, although there might be something in your current life, like childhood or something like that, like a relationship with a parent that people told you like this is like why you have, you know, this you know you if you had like a rough upbringing, or if you had like some difficult times, like every headaches go away, like everyone does. I think it's strange for me. It seems like, um, there might be that question like, where did it come from? Well, past lives, hidden anger. And yeah, it can be this like almost passive toxicity that really hurts you. And yeah, it can come from a situation where the will um has become almost like co-opted in some fashion. And there can be this feeling of being like overly compliant or lost. Who's knows? I can't tell if it's a cat. It's feeling food. Okay. Um. So yeah, basically like this is a skip step, and it could be like around excessive dominance that in past life, or being dominated on. But when I see Capricorn South Node, I see all this really like peaceful energy in this lifetime. I'm like, okay, well, my initial intent idea is that she probably had like took on this energy for her soul to experience peace and stability on some level, but also to see if she could handle several tests. Um, like feeling less empowered and how to make yourself feel empowered. Okay, here it is. How to make yourself feel empowered internally as opposed to externally, because that's been the tendency, relying on like lots of power in past lives, like very like success, right? If it was like in this current time, it'd be like the CEO or like the super rich person who's like very much stuck in the material. So yeah, imbalance between a home life and work life, or inner life and outer life. And in this life, you're meant to, yeah, to really go within. Not and the thing is like, in no way do I mean not have a career. I mean, it's the opposite. I mean, your career, your sun is exactly on the midheaven, 18 degrees, um, both, and the north node is right there. So your career is huge. Career slash dharma is huge. Um, but yeah, this is a tendency. But it's meant for you to be different in that area, because you've been more dominant and maybe like there's been like anger issues that got you into trouble. And is your Mars retrograde? No. Anyways, and then the ascendant square, I think of it as the same. It's similar, because the ascendant is kind of how you come off. So, perhaps in a way that rubbed people the wrong way, um, and perhaps in a way that made it difficult for you to form good relationships. Then this life, you're like, all right, well, astrology gods, as you met with your guides, I need to, I need to soften. I need to soften myself. I've been too hardcore. Okay, so we're gonna give you this chart. And yeah. So there might be this like annoying feeling that comes up at times where because of the karmic past and your black and Lilith is in Capricorn too. So there is like that's like you at your lowest vibration. It's just a possibility. It's not an actual planet which has a function. In Capricorn, that's around I have to be number one type energy. So it could still come up. And it is your South Node. And I wrote an article about what it means to live in your South Node. Uh, it's what comes really naturally, you know. And it's good to have to lean into the good parts of your South Node to let it get you to your North Node to allow the solidity and consistency of Capricorn um, get you to the like the or even just the determination of Capricorn in general to achieve any goal, so whatever the type, to get you to structure life in a way to where you're spending more time alone, to where you're becoming more spiritual. You know, even like we'll see if any asteroids support this, like learning something like astrology, which I teach, by the way, one-on-one classes. Um, and I haven't seen anything like first like besides the Pisces moon, um, and Venus in the ninth house. I'm not. I'll tell you if I see something about that, like with the star. But yeah, studying anything is really important. You just learn a lot, and music, like things like music, the arts, um, it's so important for you to find a healthy escape. Um, where's Venus? Oh yeah, okay, that's very interesting. But yeah, okay. So then there's Saturn. So Saturn squaring the moon's nodes. The unresolved stuff is usually around. I always think of that one as like um conditioning. I always think of that one as like the person. And this goes very well with your South Node. You know, ruled by Saturn, square Saturn. South Node ruler squaring the South Node. That just doubles and quadruples. I know, like quintiles down the fact that you were very like just think of yourself as like a mogul, like a businessman in a past life, probably a man. Um, and I don't know if I'm dealing with one past life, 3, 10, 20. It's it's an energy, you know, it's an energy that exists within us. Like you know how in your life, for example, there's like not just one thing you have to get past, like even in this life, right? That's how it is with karma. I just got that download now. Um, it's so weird. I learned from that. I learn what I do through downloads. Like it just come to me when I'm doing readings. But yeah, like that's how I imagine is that you know obviously there's not one thing that you're doing in this lifetime that you're dealing with that's difficult. Um, you know, you could have karma, you could have difficulties in relationships, with self-love, with substances, with I mean I could go on with this with certain people, right? So in each lifetime we choose to deal with just some, you know. Yeah, so in each lifetime we choose to deal. But when Saturn is squaring the nodes, and the ruler of the South Node, that is absolutely insane. And you were super conditioned in the past life. Just like the example I said, the big like business person who is, convinced by all the mainstream media, or just, just or convinced that, like, all that matters is them making money. That, like, I'm just gonna tell you, like, selfishness. Look, I don't sugarcoat my readings. Um, Now am I saying you're a selfish person by nature? No. I'm saying that you are conditioned. So either you grew up in a family, or in a situation where you were probably made to believe that, all that matters was fast,. Or whatever the hell. I mean, I'm talking in terms of the current world, right? We don't know, like, what world you were in and what era it was and like that. So this is just based on this, but you have to think of these energies as cosmic energies. Um, I continue. So yeah, it's all about the conditioning, either through family, society, religion, or anything. Um, at any point in history. And what happens is, when you're conditioned, as you know, that's when, the repression of your true nature occurs. No, Mika. So imagine you're like, because, like, this is very interesting, actually, the connection I'm making right now is that because your ascendant is square the nodes, it makes me, catch, it makes me think that you have a very similar natal chart in your last life, right? So, um, yeah, if there's repression, you know, it could, totally just fucking missed up what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, if that's the case, then who's to say that you didn't have a similar natal chart in your last lifetime, right? That was, and the moon is very karmic. So a Pisces moon is a very sensitive soul. And if you were in a situation where you were repressed and told, kind of, gaslighted, gaslit, and told, like, this is true, this is false, blah blah blah, like you could have just shut down. I was talking about this last reading. Like, you could have just shut down your entire, um like, persona, or who just entire uniqueness. That's very difficult. And that leads to a lot of repressed anger, which is where that Mars comes from. So it's about, like, releasing yourself from that conditioning and, moving towards, being more authentic. Now, there's many hurdles to that for you because, as I said, you have, uh, prominence of the two main planets of all the planet or signs, excuse me, that lack boundaries. What are boundaries? I feel like everyone knows, but, um, I guess how I define them. Boundaries are really your ability to have a firm set of rules, like a circle, it's like an imaginary circle of protection around you, where it's like, if you do or say this, it gets blocked, right? So, for example, let's say in a relationship, there's a very energy vampire type guy. Hold on. And what happens with people who have, Venus opposite Neptune is that they can fall in love with the potential. So let's say you fall in love with the potential. And my intuition says this is the old you. Um, People grow out of aspects like this and actually make them strengths. That's the beauty of it, right? They become strengths later in life. But yeah, it's still a rough one. For many reasons. Many, many. So yeah, it's just the boundaries need to be so you have Jupiter in the second house, which is very good for money. Um, it's like a financial guardian angel. So when people have that, I usually always think, okay, that it's not really money karma that they're here to deal with. And it's in Scorpio, which is a very good, money one. But then you have eighth house. But you speak Pluto. Interesting. But yeah, with the Saturn stuff, so there's a real need for maturation in this lifetime, maturing and taking responsibility for your life. Um, as I said before, not relying on anyone else. Um, and not relying on like blame and just really looking at every situation and being like, what was my role in that? So also there can be lots of like guilt that's brought in this lifetime because maybe in a position of power you did things that were fucked up that you feel guilty for. Your conscience feels guilty for. I'm not saying murders. I'm not saying that. I mean, actually, I'm just checking. No, but Mars square the South Node. You never know. Like, I mean, it could have been violence. Maybe you're a mafia mobster. Maybe awesome, dope. That'd be. Although it is on the IC, nah, it can't do it. It would be more Pluto. Be involved in it. I think basically the really big thing I'm getting is that even though it's in Capricorn, so it mixes everything up. When you have Libra rising, it flips every house. So I'm not gonna explain it. But basically, third house is usually the house of Cancer, and that's where you have its opposite sign, Capricorn. So it's just an imbalance between inner and outer life. And I think that you um, flip flop in past lives a little bit, you know. And it's like, how can you find that balance of masculine, feminine, of inner and outer, all that. So or something. Yeah. So the guilt is huge. And just feeling like you've done something wrong. And some people feel like they deserve to like punish. I don't know. And they can like play victim and stuff, be victim, and it's like a low vibe cancer quality. Your sun sign, obviously. So, hmm, I guess what I would say is that it's all about recognizing um and not blaming. Like I said before, like dynamics that come in this life. Um, it's really important not to be like self or outwardly critical. To let things go, and even if you're in a situation where you're like, I mean, of course, there's some situations where we've done like absolutely nothing wrong, right? Like I had one recently with a client who just scanned me. Like there's nothing I did wrong, but that's very rare, right? Um, in nearly every situation, we've done something wrong, even if we are unconscious of it. Um, so it's about really taking responsibility and not putting the blame because no growth comes if you do that, right? Um, hmm, I'm trying to think of something else. Yeah, so I think that there's this difference between like the Mercury skip step and the Saturn skip step, where like the Mercury, and you don't have the Mercury one by the way. I'm just kind of saying, where like with the Mercury one, there's like lots of like interjects and kind of themes like in your head, internalized, from other people blaming or criticizing you, um, for things you said or done. But with Saturn, it's really about like the self-recognizing past mistakes, and then making direct reparations for those mistakes, right? So this brings up the Saturn return and the epic um importance of that for you. So that must have been an incredibly just powerful time. Um, you probably felt like you probably physically felt it, weight off your shoulder, as they say, but you probably felt it physically, like lighter. Um, so yeah. Um, but going back to the boundaries thing, if Pisces moon, one key so what it does, what's difficult, you don't have any hard aspects to it, so you're good. It's just square Venus. You missed out on. Uh, I would say it's actually square. I'd give a. Let me look something up actually. I haven't I've been meaning to do this, but I want to see like what other astrologers are like. What orb do you use for sun squares? Because I would say like I don't know, I can go up to 10. Hmm. So 7 or 9 and 10 for oppositions and conjunctions. 7 and 9 for squares. Yeah, so I mean, regardless, it's my rules. Um, and it is 9. So yeah, I'm gonna count it, but it's very minor. And basically, like you're already a Pisces moon anyways, so Neptune rules your moon, so it squares it too, which it creates difficulties around the mother. Um, it's often the case that the person who has that placement, like it's ultra important how they were raised. Um, in the early relationship with the mother is super important because they can, and I'm trusting it for this like so many times that it's pretty like I can definitely say it is a commonality is that the person it's more important the moon's for a Neptune person how they were raised early on than any other person or any other placement because they might feel their mother's like emotional baggage or their emotional shit throughout their entire life and take it as their own until they finally do the healing work, the therapy where they dive into their unconscious and their past, this, that, and the fourth, and then they realize, oh wait, uh, this emotion or whatever that I've been feeling, that's not actually related to me. That's something I took on from my mother. That's a very common trait. So that's why if there's any kind of stress, even the perinatal process and like the actual like actually the natal process, like you physically being born, if there's any stress there, it can have like very, very massive psychological consequences. So um just knowing that, having that awareness, asking about it, um, or figuring it out, it can be very important. Okay. So anyways, I said a lot. You try to move in your sun, and it's in the 10th house. It is all about taking your talents um into your dharma, into your career. Maybe it could even be like being a mother. Like it's not necessarily like a career, although like cancers make money. Like if you look at like some of the biggest billionaires, a lot of cancers. You'd be surprised. A lot of people in that Cancer Leo kind of bubble, or just yeah, a weird amount of cancers than you expect. So you're really meant to make your mark in the world. Um, it could even be a random one would be like real estate because like Cancer rules real estate. Um, but you know, more than likely, it's about something related to compassion and nurturing and repaying a karmic debt. Now, because your moon is in Pisces, you have the ability to see through bullshit, which would make you a tremendous psychologist or anything where intuition is needed. Astrologer as well, as I said. Um, and yeah, but the thing is, like, in your interpersonal love life, you need a tremendous amount of time alone. Actually, I wouldn't use the word tremendous. I would just say that it's not to be ignored. Um, People tend to do that. People are not really, not you, just people in general are have lost the ability to critical think for a long time, and because of that, they tend to just do what their parents did or their grandparents did, this, that, and the fourth. So I think the world's changing. I think relationships are changing. Um, and your chart, to me, is reflecting someone who, you know, Pisces moons recharge their batteries in their alone time, right? And then they're able to be good. So that's very important. Now, here's the difficult part: is that your Venus is your love language. It's what you value in yourself and in others. It's in Gemini. You love fun. You're very curious. You love to read. You love to learn, right? You need a partner who's intellectually stimulating, obviously, and ninth house who might be, potentially from another culture. Um, you want relationships that where you learn, you know, lower and higher mind are stimulating. So the square at the moon is very interesting because Venus and Gemini are known to be a little bit. I hate saying promiscuous. It's not what it is. Like they just like they just get bored really quickly, right? So they really need to have the right partner. And they're like the one Venus sign that could like literally date someone just because they're like curious about that person, but like they're not even attracted to them. Um, so there can be this epic changeability uh in terms of relationships. Um, so this is squaring your moon, meaning tension, which is in Pisces. Um, you know, so on one end, the love language is quite extroverted. Um, lots of let's check out a cat here. Oh, it's in a weird place. Lots of Venus and Geminis are daters. They date a lot of people. However, Moon and Pisces are very particular and need to be very particular about who they share their energy with. Extremely important. Extremely important. And like I should probably say this 5 times in this reading. This is what you do as a Pisces moon, Cancer sun. If you want to know the impact that someone is having on you, spend time with them, leave, go straight into a meditative state or just being alone in your element, whatever is comfortable for you, your comfort place. And see how you feel. If you feel like energized after the encounter, then that's a good person for you. If you feel, even if you love that person, it's a great person, some people just are very bad at energy. Like they take more than they give, and they're just a lot to handle. And Pisces moons, they, especially with the Libra, they will actually stick with those people even though they're fucking destroying them, right? Especially with the square from Neptune to your moon, which makes you the lower energy is like victim mentality. Um, Identity crisis is a big one, right? Self-esteem issues. So, yeah, it's extremely important to really dial in on who you are. Now, this goes back to the Mars in Libra that I have yet to speak about, which is rising with Saturn. So that's really good for success, but usually it's after Saturn return, which you pass. It's slow earned success. Now, Libra, Mars is indecisive as fuck. Um, you add Saturn on the Mars, you have someone who is persistent, responsible, able to get the job done over the long term. But still can be wishy-washy. And that goes back to your Jupiter and Ceres in the second house in Scorpio, which is based on finding values and morals. It's like a fucking declaration of not of independence. It's like a document, and I don't even know what I'm saying. A metaphoric rule, like list of rules that you abide by, and that's it. And because it's Scorpio, it has to be deep. Now, I continue. You're put on the first house, so you're meant to manifest yourself in the physical realm a lot in this lifetime. There's been too much, even though it's Capricorn, maybe you were just the patriarch of the family a lot. It's tough to tell. But you have this incredible power reserve, these incredible power reserves. However, there's this very massive indecisiveness. So you're supposed to be selfish in this lifetime, in a sense of in one way. It's like how I describe myself is like and I don't like to talk about myself, but when it's applicable, it's applicable. So I'm selfish to the point to where I know that what I'm doing, I'm not going to go out of my way for like pretty much anyone. Only a few people in the world, right? But I know that what I'm doing right now is going to be extremely impactful for people in my lifetime that I don't even know yet, right? So is that really selfish? Like, for example, let's say someone messages me, "Hey, let's go get some beers. Let's go have a night out." I'm like, "No, I'm working." Is that me being a bad friend? I don't know. You tell me. The whole point is that as we stop meowing, is that sometimes you have to be selfish. Um, you know, Successful people, and I don't mean success by money, I mean success by finding your life purpose and manifesting uh a life that is linked to your North Node. It takes a lot of saying no. Now moving is one thing that you could do if you're in a situation where you're living where you grew up, Austria in this case. So basically, hold on 1 second. Okay, we have returned. So let us continue. The timer. And yeah. So anyways, a summary is that, of many aspects is that the love life, the love language is at odds with the how do you say it? It's at odds with the emotional nature. So what comes to mind for me is the idea of the struggle between wanting to experience a lot within love, and there can be even grass is green on the other side, and with the opposition of Neptune and Venus there can be no partner's ever good enough, and like super like pink cloud, falling in love way too fast energy, and then once that pink cloud's passed, like, oh shit, like, so it's very, very important to ground yourself in love and to not get carried away by the tide of this, this perfect human that doesn't exist. And many struggle with this, with these places. Um, yeah, so channeling everything in the career is huge. Um, just being a nurturer somehow, where you can use, yeah, like I said, I've said it, I've said it, like you're using the talents from past life that you didn't necessarily use in your career sense, even though you were career slash dharma. Even though that what like it's not like you weren't in that arena of life. It's just about, using it in a different way, maybe in a less businessy way, in a less you know power, just success, material success way, and more of it's more towards like a metaphysical way. That's how I see it. Um, you're a gifted communicator, a sweet communicator, and it helps you in your career. So you could have, you know, any career, and you could be gifted with foreign languages potentially too. And yeah, I mean, your life is, your most the biggest part of your life purpose is in that arena of career. So Pallas also conjunct the ascendant in Libra, so that just gives you like a very open third eye. It's a nice one for sure. Um, yeah, it just makes one really able to detach from emotions in a way that's very good for leadership. And yeah, like authentic self-expression. And Libra, it gives the ability to really see both sides of the story, and you're someone who can bring opposing parties together. So it's like a very diplomatic placement. And this is an asteroid, right? I talk about the four main asteroids, and then any other asteroid or fixed star that's important based on your chart. Um, yeah. Yeah. So it's battle between like assertiveness in indecision, but things getting a lot easier after Saturn return in the full coming to the Libra, to that high Libra. And yeah, once again, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries is the big lesson. Now, the second house, Jupiter is the financial guardian angel, as I told you before. So that's extremely fortunate. And hmm, hmm. Yeah, having it in Scorpio at 0 degrees, it's significant. Uh, Curiosity of a cat. So when it comes to the esoteric and anything that's really, really deep, that curiosity exists. So interesting. And then Ceres in Scorpio. It's almost like a secondary moon, but not even close to important, obviously. And the best way to think about that is Ceres, it's how you nurture and how you feel nurtured is how I think about it. So in this sense, it's through really, really in-depth conversations, the opposite of superficial, profound, and it's through the transformations that you go through in relationships and just overall that really nurtures you, like the depth, right? Like I have my series in Gemini, and in a weird way, I do feel nurtured from not like gossiping, but just like chatting, like with people who I'm on like the same page with, like sharing information and just the spread of information. That's important, you know? So yeah. And Scorpio, of course, yeah. In the second house, it could, relate to money and to resources. And really, wanting that security, which you most likely get. Eighth house Chiron, that could be a little bit difficult, because it could really create some like some when it comes to like sexuality, it can make one feel inadequate sexually. Um, but also it's like the sign of a healer. It's another sign of a healer, like really, really sensitive to the painful undercurrents of the world. Um, Somebody can be like an intuitive healer, and I often see the Taurus one representing a crisis of values. Um, and I think of it as like someone who, at a young age, something happened or some things happened that made them, especially with the Venus opposite Mercury, feel like a less of a sense of self-worth. Now, when you also have your Sun square Mars and Saturn and Pluto, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. And basically that could speak of the father and just difficult relations with him, perhaps, and potentially domineering father. And it just creates like the need to be in control. Um, Ego conflicts can arise a lot, and it's all about letting go. And it's really every healer has this. When I say healer, I don't necessarily mean like that's what you're doing for your profession. It could be, but it's like that's the initiation, the Sun Pluto square, right? Or the Moon Pluto square into a more relaxed attitude. But until then, there can be like lots of like power struggles, and then you add like the Saturn squaring your Sun, and it adds even more of that Saturn return being such an important time. And it just makes so you have to just work like your whole first 29 and a half years. There's so many challenges, and you probably have to like really grow up early. Um, and you have to, yeah, lots of tests and challenges you have to overcome to get ahead in life. Uh, it's like the one step forward, two steps back, and you're just like, what the fuck? But then you work so hard, and then after the Saturn turn, you're like, and there can also be like lots of like criticism, usually from the father, um, or just early in life, just criticism, and then we already talked about the past life stuff and how that correlates. So it makes them really hard on themselves. Perfectionism can be rampant, judging yourself kind of more on the South Node in Capricorn, on your success in more material ways. And yeah, it can be, yeah, it can really have an effect on vitality, especially the sensitive Pisces moon, who feels all this energy so intensely that sometimes people who have that with the square with Neptune, they almost like want to escape and just hide and live in their imaginary world and be a little evasive. But so many successful people have this that, it makes sense, right? It gets everything with Saturn gets better with age. So it makes one a late bloomer typically and really, really determined. And having it, on your rising also, it speaks to that as well, right? Overcoming lots of personal challenges to a sense of identity and purpose. And yeah, once you break away from the energies of the parents, even though the parents might have a good relationship with each other, if the trine between the sun and moon, or with that, yeah, it can be difficult, right? It can be very, very difficult. And subtle too, subtle also. But I definitely see like Neptune, the galactic center, another really psychic one. Just being able to tap into the universal energies from a young age and just throughout life. And yeah, that's like really good for astrologer. And then yeah, also Juno in the nut in Sag, like, your ideal partner is someone who expands you. You learn from them. And there's lots like very, very intellectual connections, as I said before, with the Venus. But they also have to understand your like the mood swings that the Pisces moon has and need for space, and kind of there can be like really, really feeling misunderstood. And it's really through self-love. Because the opposition of Venus and Neptune can make that very difficult. So this is the classic chart of someone who is meant to be a healer, like 100%. But yeah, I mean, overcome lots of things around boundaries, as I've said a million times, and valuing yourself, right? Which is the Jupiter in the second house really helps that a lot. But there is still lots of stuff. Now the Black Moon Lilith, or also Uranus, actually, I should say, in the third, that can speak to like writing, being very, very powerful for you, or just communicating in general. But you might communicate in a way that is kind of outside the norm. And yeah, and that could have like led itself to like just like a thought process that's just different, and maybe is very different than the family of origin. So finding your tribe is very, very important, because your son, yeah. Um, but yeah, once like for you, it's like once you find that purpose, like it's just game over, like everything makes sense. Valuing yourself, finding your purpose. Um, Black Widow, you know, you, it's like yeah, it's like the potential to be so perfectionist, and it can also represent like stuck energies within the family structure, and um just the struggle of being stuck in the South Node, um, of the material, do this, do that, do this, do that, and potentially even uh, um, being so obsessed with that you like at a lower vibe, right? Um, Being willing to kind of step over people to get to where you want to get career wise. Now the moon's in the sixth, so that's all about service once again. Um, and there's emotional need to be healthy, have a solid routine. Now there's no earth in the chart, of course, too. So that's like a huge test of an evolved soul to have the south node there. Well, actually, it's like someone who's kind of mastered that in the past life. So you're really moving towards the metaphysical, um, the intellectual, as opposed to like the conditioning. And yeah, Vesta in fifth, it's like in Aquarius, it's like someone who can very thinking in terms of the way they work well in teams. But there is that whole like, yeah, definitely probably a early yeah, the whole like identity crisis thing. Finding yourself is the hard part, but someone who can make their the thing what they do for fun their job, you know. So it speaks to that north node right on the sun. But the sun opposite the south node means that you are blocked from your once again from your highest expression by some very powerful force in a past life, potentially the father in this life. I don't know, or just society as a whole and the conditioning. So yeah, um, you find yourself the doorway to higher awareness is really through grounding yourself, grounding your energy, and you know, intense experiences like eighth house, intense like transformational experiences, whether it's love or you name it, right? Um, so yeah, and yeah, and you feel your best when you're traveling and learning, um, traveling physically or metaphorically. That's the thing. And let's kind of add to that. What else could I add to that? Unaspected Mercury. Is that the case? Check. Yeah. So sometimes people unaspected Mercury, they even if there is like an early shyness, there can be like no checks and balances in terms of your communication. So but like you do have a Cancer Mercury, which is more it is typically not the person who's just gonna like shout things out, but unaspected sometimes there can be, especially the square with Sun and Mars, issues with I mean that one's more about like repressed anger and stuff. Also, the whole South Node thing I was talking about before with Mars. Um, and it's resolved through Aries, through having those very, very firm boundaries, right? Through like really, really just being like, you know what? I'm gonna do me. I'm not gonna people please. So yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay. So I have to stare into this to see if I see any big ones. All right, so speak up. All right, so the Galactic Star, I talked about that. What is that? There could be some connection to Atlantis, healing from a potential past life there. And then what is, there's so many. Oh, there's so many in Gemini. What's this one? Ooh, I can't see how close it is. So like imagine you kind of saw all these numbers just crunched together. Like Okay. So definitely some wealth. You have wealth stars around your Venus. That's very good. Very, very good. Bellatrix, Rigel. Um Venus in there. So okay. Hmm. So okay. So for stars, I feel like look up to see which one it is. I can't I have to kill this. Display issue. Okay, go back. 18. It's Bellatrix. Is that it? 20 sounds Bellatrix. Oh yeah, it's within. So yeah, Venus and Bellatrix can create suffering through love affairs, which can come from like just unrestrained feelings. And I literally, there's so many of these like just stuck together. Like imagine like seeing like so many like planets like overlapping. Although there is a way for me to extend. Okay, so what's that one? No, it's this one. Yes, it's like this. So which one is 16? Well, either way, like you're right in that zone with lots of wealth stars. So it's very nice. You're kind of like surrounded by like a lot of like the wealth stars, but not like so close to any like you're within like 2 degrees of like three different wealth stars, and the limit's usually like around like 2.40. So yeah. Okay. Now descendant has ooh, okay. So you have Aries on ascendant that can kind of create like lots of just kind of explosive energy in relationship. Um, or just like attracting like very like dominant partners potentially. It's all potential, you know. Um, but I don't have any information on Pluto and Spica. But Spica is one of the most like one of the best stars. Um, let's see if I can find anything on this conjunction. Because it's all about really good fortune. Um, so let's see. Like lots of like very prominent people have had Spica on their Pluto. Okay, here it is. So the way I see it is like basically like by you kind of conquering your darkness. Um, and then there's also is that Sappho? Yeah, there's like a really like amazing like artistic ability for like it could be like poetry or like you know you definitely are very very creative and it's important to have an outlet in that realm. But let's see if I can find anything on this. So yeah, it says it's going to increase desire and perhaps refine the plutonic beast within. Sexy placement, the brooding artist. So and yeah, with Spica, I think it you know it would give uh it could give you know great wealth. It could give you know great just luck in general. But it's only when you've kind of gone past like a lot of the more difficult parts of this chart that I've been talking about, right? And how close is it to? Yeah, what's this one? I'll go on your Chiron. Or actually, it's out of orb. When I count that, hmm. I'll go on the Chiron. Let's see it's what I can find. Never seen Algol conjunct Chiron. Well, I mean, the thing with Algol, I mean, everyone talks about being like such a, you know, the like one of the most difficult uh fixed star. So to have it on Chiron, it can create like in the lowest vibe, like it's an eighth house, like some type of like sexual like trauma, but it's not necessarily that, right? Um, it can actually just make one like attracted to like very powerful types of people, as I said before. But if the self-esteem is young is not there, it can be abuse and attracting like angry types of men. And your goal is to not play healer, is to not play the person that saves the day, you know? So yeah, very interesting, lots of information. That is about it, my friend. So we shall see in the follow-up. So I was going to tell you, obviously this one is the recorded one. What most people end up doing is that they get the reading with the follow-up. They're usually very happy with the reading. And what I tell you is, I'll tell you next, is that, let me screenshot your chart, is that basically what most people do is instead of just getting the follow-up, which is an option, you already have it paid for and all that, is to add the current astrology, which basically makes it so, like, this is completely different astrology, right? This is natal. Uh, it's just, it never changes. You get done once, or maybe from different astrologers, up to you. That follow-up, we're gonna go over everything. You ask questions, you take notes. You'll have to remind me, of course. I mean, I have a million readings I'm doing, so like, there's no possible chance that I remember. I mean, I can look at the chart and remember, but yeah, it's like the hour where we go over everything. Current astrology is where I use all my predictive astrology techniques and I give you the current chapter. So it's like, this is the book of your life, right? The cosmic blueprint, if you will. The current astrology reading is like the year-ish, ahead, basically. And it's very, very powerful. Everyone that's gotten it, like pretty much everyone does this unless there's like a financial constraint. It's usually like over $300. I'm happy to do it for $250. And it's usually around 2 hours live on Zoom. First hour, well, 3 hours combined. It goes over sometimes. First one we just do the follow up, and then we seamlessly move to where I talk about everything that I know about current astrology. Unlike some astrologers that will charge for the solar return, the progress chart, the transits, like I do all in one. That's just how I do it. And it really gives you a great idea. I have two masters in psychology, so those come in handy in those sessions. And yeah, we just like I just blank off everything for my schedule for that day. And yeah, we just talk about what to expect. I just actually had one of these done for me from my friend astrologer, and God, like, is it helpful? Like, I hadn't had one current astrology done for myself in a long time. And just to know about like the year ahead and what to expect, and just from an energetic perspective, like I'm not like, there's different types of astrologers when it comes to predictive astrology. Like for me, it's like I'm more of a weatherman. But like I want you to understand the themes that are coming up, because usually people get readings from me at very synchronistic times in their lives, right? And like the reason that reading is just very powerful because your natal chart is so fresh in my head from the first hour of doing the follow-up, that I'm making tons of connections with the natal and the current, like your progressed moon, what sign is it in, like what's it doing? Solar arc. Um, of course the transits, right? Like what if you have, let's see, well, you would have passed in the last few years a lot of the really, really hard energy that I see so far. Yeah. But like I can't be so sure. Like I can all I can see so far is the fact that Um, definitely had a huge initiation. Um, when Pluto opposed your sun, I can't tell you the year, but years ago. Um, and then it was also squaring all your Libra planets, right? So that probably would have been the time. I guarantee you, if I tracked it back, you'd be like, "Yep, that was when I really like my life started really kind of either falling apart, transforming at least." And then Neptune, um, just finished. I can't tell you how long ago, maybe a year-ish ago or 2 years ago. Conjuncting your moon, that would have been like a time of like spiritual awakening, but also extreme sensitivity. There's things like that, but like, there's way more. What house is Pluto entering? What house is Saturn? What big transits are there? What, like, all these things. So let me know if you're interested in that. Besides that, thank you so much, and talk later. I don't know why I'm doing this captain thing, but yeah. All right. Ciao. Bye bye.